What's up, y'all? Today I'm going to be talking about my risk management when trading prop firms. All right, so my risk management is pretty simple. So all across the board, no matter what account size I'm using, I have the same risk, right? So let's write them down. Prop firm risk rules. Okay, so my first rule is to risk no more than 0.5 to 0.8% per trade. Okay, so just to expand on that, if I'm lowering my risk, I'll use a 0.5. Okay, but my average risk daily is typically a 0.6% on the account. And then if I really feel like this is an A+ setup, like I want to go a little higher with my risk, I will use that 0.7 to 0.8%. Okay, that's really my only risk rule for prop firms, right? You don't need to make it more complicated than it is. And the easiest way to figure out what you need to do for your account size. All right, so let's do account sizes plus risk. So if you have a 50K account, all right, and I'm going to be referring to with MNQ, which is a micro, or MNQ/NQ, right? Because some of them you can use the bigger ones. Or the mini, I mean. All right. All right, there we go. All right, so with a 50K account, so that equals between, I believe 200, let's see. So the way you calculate it is actually super easy. Might as well do it on here so you guys can see it. There we go. All right. So what you're gonna do, you're gonna type in your account balance times 0.5%, and that is 250. All right, so I know for a 50K account, I can risk between 250, and then I'll do the account balance again times 0.8% and no more than 400. So I can risk between 250 to $400 on a 50K account, which equals around 200 or 2 to 4 contracts on MNQ with a 50-point stop loss. Okay, and the same thing for the 100K account. All right, you're gonna do the same thing. So if you use the 100K accounts, you're gonna put in that account balance times 0.5%. So that equals 500. And then you're gonna do the same thing with the 0.8%, which is 800. So you can risk between $500 to $800 on a 100K account with and that is 5 to 8 contracts on MNQ with a 50-point stop loss. Okay, it's key to remember that I'm using the same stop loss size for every single trade. I feel like using the same stop loss size for every trade helps me tremendously because it helps to not have to ask yourself so many questions when going into the market. So I don't have to worry about what stop loss I'm going to use every day. That's a question that's off the board because I literally use the same stop loss size every single day. So when it comes to figuring out what I'm going to risk, I know based on the account size, I'm either going to be risking between, like for the 50K, either 2 to 4 contracts on the trade. Okay. So that is my risk for prop firms. And I've been using this risk for a while now. I absolutely love it. I'm just going to show you guys like a quick breakdown of like what that would look like. So here we have price failing to swing lower, right? That means price is failing to make a lower low, letting me know that price was obviously buying. Let's just say this here was my entry, right? And you may be like, well, why would that be your entry? Well, it's the last down candle before bullish momentum. You wait for price to trade back into these areas for buys. Price traded into the area 3 times before taking off for a buy. Okay, so let's say I entered the trade because one, that Two, over here, we have buyers being stopped multiple times in this area. Well, when you have buyers being stopped multiple times in one area and it's struggling to close above the area, that lets me know liquidity resides above and price may be drawn into that area. So those are three reasons I would enter that trade. Failing to swing lower, buy stop liquidity above, and the final one would be the rejection for entry. Now, I always use that 50-point stop loss. All right. So let's say there's that 50 points there. All right. And let's say my target was the BSL line because that's 219, right? All right. So let's say this is a 100K account. All right. I want to risk 0.6%, which is my normal risk for a trade, right? It's not lower, but it's not too much, right? So do 100K times 0.6%, that is $600. So 0.6% risk, I'm gonna use 6 contracts on a MNQ. And the reason I'm not using a mini is because if I do one contract with a 50-point stop loss on a mini, that's $1,000. So that's just too much. You can use a mini when you start to get into the 100K or the 200K prop firm account size. All right, so for 6 contracts on MNQ, that equals $600. So I'm risking $600. Obviously, price did end up hitting the overall target, which was 219 points. So what you can do, you go to your calculator to see how much that is, right? You can go 2 times 6, that's 12, times 219, that's $2,628. All right, so I risked 600 to make over $2,000, right? Definitely worth it. Now that, of course, there's other things that go into play, like taking partials. For me personally, once price gets to 50 points, I take my half partials off the trade. So let's say this trade went up to 50 points, which was here. I would take partial profits off the trade. So let's write that. Once price gets to 50 points, I take half the trade off, move stop loss to break even, and leave the rest running. All right, so what would that look like? That would look like taking 3 contracts off because half of 6 is 3. So I would take 3 contracts off, secure $300, move my stop loss to break even, and leave the rest running. So that means I actually secured, so 3 times 2 is 6 times 219. So that plus 300. So that's how much I would have made potentially, right? Could have been more, but I do this and you may be thinking, well, like you just missed out on some money, but I do this because you want to take what the market gives you. Every day it's not guaranteed to hit your overall target. Why leave so much money on the table, right? For NASDAQ, 50 points is great. And if you don't want to secure half, you can always secure maybe 2 contracts, right? But the goal is to at least secure something so you're not leaving so much money on the table. All right, but that is how I risk for my prop firms all across the board. I hope that was helpful. If you guys want to learn more about my trading strategy, definitely check out my trading community, which will be linked below. I also have a self-paced course as well if you are interested in that. You guys have a great rest of your day.